welcome to my channel. My name is Danielle and I'm from Cageless Readings. So today's pick a card. We were looking at parts or a quality within yourself that is wanting to come through more or wanting to shine through more. We also are going to look at how this is going to create change in your life and any guidance and suggestions about why it could be helpful to embrace this more, as well as how to connect this quality or this part more. So that being said, if you already know how to choose the pile, I'll let you go ahead and do that now. If you do not know because you've never done a pick a card reading before, I'll give you an explanation. So first thing you want to do is try to get as relaxed as possible into the body. Why we do this is often when we're searching for a pick a card reading on YouTube, we're already in a state of dysregulation. So we might be very in the mental body, we might be a little more stressed. This just makes it harder to connect that intuition or that gut knowing. So I often like to recommend, if it's safe and possible, to close your eyes, take a deep breath in down through the nose, and a slow exhale out the mouth. This is a breathing technique that can help put us into that parasympathetic state, but also as we do it slowly, it can drop our awareness down into the body, out through the mouth. So it's like it gets us to follow the breath, feeling our feet on the floor, our bodies on a chair if they're in a chair, and just really tuning in and just how's your body doing today? What is going on? Might be discomfort, there might be stress, or it might feel quite pleasant. Just acknowledging it, and then after you've taken a few of those breaths, maybe intentionally taking a sigh just to let go of anything else that doesn't need to be there. Some people like to do a little shake the shoulders, shake the feet, shake the arms, shake the head. It's all welcome. And then asking yourself, if your eyes are still closed, does this pile have a message for me? Or do one of these piles have a message for me? And then opening your eyes, taking a look at all the piles. It could be an image, a color, a shape, or a specific crystal that's catching your attention. If you just feel drawn to one, then that is answer enough. If you feel like you're having a hard time, you're still too in your head, it can be nice to look at the numbers attached to the piles. Sometimes there's a number we're seeing a lot, or one of our favorite numbers, and that could be another way to choose a pile. You can always just click into the readings and see if it's resonating with something you're going through right now, and if it's not, please don't take that on. Just move to another pile, or even choose another pick a card reading. Or I could even recommend spending a little more time doing like a grounding meditation. So maybe doing a 5 or 10 minute grounding meditation on the YouTube, and then going and looking for a pick a card reading, because it's wild how different that is when we are choosing from intuition versus perhaps the mental body. So that being said, I will tell you what each one of these crystals are. So pile 1's option here is the Howlite. Here we go. It's funny, I feel like someone's like, what does the stone do? It's a calming stone. Put it there. Pile 2 is this piece of Caribbean calcite. Always looks like the Caribbean, so makes sense. This one is usually known more for dreams, but it does do a bunch of other things, so don't hold it to that. And pile 3, we have the Moonstone. There we go. Rainbow Moonstone, I think technically it's what it's called. I often see this one as a balance crystal or mental clarity, interesting enough. I don't know if that's a me thing or actually what it helps with. We'll put it there. Okay, so I'll give you time now to choose your piles, and I'll see you in your pick a card readings. Hello, pile 1s. You chose the Howlite here. I just want to disclose or disclaim for this pile, I am getting a lot about being an embodied female, just meaning there is a lot coming through about hormones and menstruation cycles and coming to a place of peace and acceptance of that. So I am going to allude a lot to being in a female body, and sort of a challenge with that. So that being said, the quality and the part that I see coming through for this pile is embodying complete acceptance around being an empowered, and I want to even say proud, female. And it keeps coming up with leadership too. So like knowing that one can be in a leadership position, or inspire action. And what am I trying to say here? Like I keep getting for this pile that this might be a group of people who have struggled or had their gender used against them at some point in their life. The example I keep getting is, like I'm thinking, even back when I was a kid, I was still getting people saying like, you're just a girl. Girls are so emotional. You can't trust them. Their hormones are all over the place. Like, I feel like this pile could have had similar situations, or just things said to them throughout their life at some point, or even just at a significant point in their life, because a lot of this is about coming to real peace and acceptance, and even seeing the strength and the value in accepting all of their femininity, all of what they are. And even with the moon cycles coming through, I really did get this is like accepting that, like this pile could be someone who is going through menopause. You don't have to be, but that is like one of the messages coming through, like coming to terms with the fact that, the body is changing and that it can maybe be a little bit frustrating, but just honoring that is just the body's intelligence and wisdom, and it's doing what it needs to do. And once again, I know this can be a tricky thing to hear because it's probably super frustrating in the moment. Super frustrating. And if you're just someone who's not even in menopause, but you're just struggle with your menstruation cycle, with maybe the hormones not feeling very regular, or being someone who maybe struggles with what is it called? PCOS or something like that, where maybe periods are quite painful. There's a lot here about not shaming yourself or hating yourself for these parts of it, for these realities of it. Which I'm going to say, I know it's so much easier said than done. I probably say this in every card reading. So I'm going to skip back here to why it's saying it's coming through. It's saying embracing even the sensual side of the feminine, of feeling like it's okay to like want to feel sexy or feel beautiful or feel even seductive. And I wonder if there's a part of this pile who's sometimes maybe shamed those aspects of themselves. Something like that. I could almost see like not wanting to give off the wrong impression, or to have people look at you a certain way, or see you as objectified or something like that. I do just feel like there is a lot of, honestly want to say wounding around this, where I just feel like there was like stigmas and things like that either were said to you when you were younger, or that you witnessed other people be stigmatized or sorry, I can't seem to say that word right now. You might have seen other people also wounded by wanting to be feeling more beautiful, look more feminine, by maybe doing things that made themselves feel more content in their body, but maybe was misperceived by the people around them. And then over here we have more of that like motherly influence coming through. So like being okay with being like a nurturer, with being someone who has compassion, who perhaps hears like a really hard story from someone and isn't afraid to show the emotion of being impacted by that. Like just letting oneself really just be in that role without making it wrong, or feeling like it's too emotional, or like it's unprofessional is almost the word I want to keep saying here, which is really interesting because you do have leadership coming up twice. So you have the King, which represents leadership. And we also have literally the card leadership coming through, power and courage. So ultimately, why I feel like all this is coming through is this embracing and truly radically accepting the feminine aspects of yourself, the femininity of yourself. It feels like it's trying to say like that could actually be the leadership that you've been missing. Like the leadership that you want to see in the world might be one that has a little more compassion for others and for self. The one that isn't afraid to speak of emotions, to acknowledge, I even want to say imperfections, and to be like accountable is like what I keep getting, not to be afraid to admit to not knowing everything. It's really interesting because it's almost like it's gonna take, like I see the courage card and I feel like it will take a lot of courage to be more vulnerably, how would I say that? More vulnerable just in general. I keep seeing that because this is all about solar plexus here. Like it can be really intimidating to be more vulnerable, but I keep getting for this pile, if you've chosen this, I think you work in an industry where you're not super excited about some of the leadership you see. Like I get that there's just some leadership that I feel like is doing that thing, and I'm gonna give an example hoping that this makes sense to this pile, because I feel like we've all had a boss at some point in our life where they were so wrong about something, but felt like if they admitted to it, that it would make them less in power, or like they just were like, I can't ever look wrong. I have to always know what the right answer is. And then instead of just being like, oh no, I didn't know that wasn't true, they kind of just dig themselves into a deeper hole. And then they kind of start to lose the respect of the people below them, because being able to be accountable for your actions and for your decisions is just something that gives us and gets us respect from others. And I just feel like this might be something you've seen in other leadership. And I keep getting is like, you want to be the different kind of leader. You want to be someone where it's more balanced is ultimately what I keep getting. It's more balanced. And to create this balance, I feel like there is a need to accept all parts of yourself and understand that that more feminine side of you isn't a weaker side of yourself. It has power as well. It has a place as well. And it doesn't have to just be in that traditional, more masculine way of showing up in leadership to be a leader, to be an influence, to run a company, to run a team. So when we start looking at how is this going to change or bring in change for you, and we also got a lot of cards on how you can like connect to this more. I do love that I see the victory card where it says your prayers have been heard and answered, have faith. Noticing how the moon affects your energy and manifestations and affects the cycles. I do feel like you have had an awareness that there needs to be change in leadership. I just keep getting that for this pile. It's a very specific reading. So once again, it always makes me wonder if there'll be too many people that choose this pile or not. But I just keep getting like, I think about how people have said that the corporate world only accommodates someone who is in a male body, like someone whose cycles and hormones are always the same, where from like, it's like in a 24-hour clock. And I feel like this pile is like, I recognize that like people in a woman's body or born as female are not in the same 24-hour cycle or day cycle. Like their bodies work differently. Their hormones are different. And then I even would say that you recognize that people going through menopause have a different hormone cycle as well. And it feels like there's this desire to create an optimal place for people to work so that they are working at their best, so that they can be the best at their job. And I don't know why this is relevant. I don't know what kind of industry this pile is in, but I just keep getting like, you see a change that needs to happen so that people can show up to their best ability. Is essentially what I'm getting. And I know it's funny because we're talking about a quality that can enhance your life. And where this comes full circle is if you want to be able to accommodate so that everyone can be kind of in their best energy, can be at their best for working, feel their best, their body's honored, then there does need to be this acceptance of self and compassion for self so that you can lead as an example. Because if you don't, and this could be where it could be wrong. You could already be doing this. So I'm just saying, if you aren't in a place where you accept yourself and your hormone changes and your day-to-day differences and how you're feeling, then it's going to be really hard to be a leader in and showing other people it's okay to be this way if you aren't accepting that about yourself. Does that make sense? So it's just like saying, to really lead in this, there's a need for you to have more compassion for yourself and more radical acceptance. So don't worry, this is where it starts to give you advice about how to accept more of this side of yourself or more about this part of your body, like these hormone changes that come with being born in a female body. Is just, first thing I love that comes through is like reminding your body that you are safe. So this is something that I get quite a bit. And it's funny, I had a client session today, and this actually came through the strongest, is that sometimes we as the adult can feel quite safe in our day-to-day, but there's a part of us, whether it's a younger side of us, whether it's the femininity within yourself, there can just be a part that doesn't feel safe, that doesn't feel like it's okay to let down their guard, to just be in a regulated nervous system. So what I would suggest is you can do it in your head, so you don't have to say it out loud if that's uncomfortable, but just maybe putting a hand on your lower diaphragm, so kind of where your belly button would be, or in between your belly button and your lower ribs, and then one on your heart, and just telling yourself, I'm safe, we're safe, you're safe, I'm safe, whichever kind of verbiage works for you. Taking a deep breath in and a deep breath out, and just doing that as you need to throughout the day. Because once again, this might seem like a really silly thing to do, but a lot of times it's not for like our adult selves, it's for a different part of ourselves. And if that helps with maybe a tummy ache that you're having, or maybe you're feeling a nervousness in the pit of your stomach or in your gut, and you're just not really sure why, and sometimes it can help to do that exercise where you just tell yourself, I'm safe. Sometimes I find it helps to say I'm sorry. But really coming back to the you're safe, I'm safe, we're safe language, because it's usually starting to feel like something, it should be alert to something in the environment, something going on. And when you give it that comfort and that reassurance, then that can be all it needed to kind of feel more regulated. So anyways, this is like something that I feel like I haven't mentioned on this channel in a long time. So it really is a big thing to talk to those other parts of ourselves, especially to that inner child or those parts of us who are thinking they need to be alert. And when I say alert, they think they need to maybe be hypervigilant in the moment, and just starting with as simple as we're safe. That is step one. Step two, I do feel like is starting to truly try to find more compassion for yourself. There's a few different ways you can do this. Sometimes it can just even be by reflecting back on our lives, how far we've come, the things that we've faced, the things that we've overcome, and then just really being like real with ourselves. Like, wow, like I've been through so much. Like, why am I being so hard on myself right now when I've actually made it through some really hard times? If that doesn't work for you, other things you can do is try to connect with the little parts of yourself, or the parts of yourselves that like younger youths, because usually we'll have more compassion for a child, even if it is ourselves, if we can picture them. You might have heard of like, oh my gosh, what's it called? I'm butchering the name, but I think it's called like the chair therapy or something like that. I don't think that's quite right. But basically, some people will put an empty chair across from them, and they'll sit in one chair, and they'll imagine a part of themselves that they're trying to talk to. So this is usually good. It could be the feminine side of you. It could be the little girl who got hurt all those days ago, all those years ago, and just talking to her. And sometimes people will switch chairs when they're talking out of that, the adult them or the little kid them. or whichever part of them. And it can actually sounds odd, but if you've never done this, it actually can really help with creating more compassion, more understanding between the parts of yourselves. Because sometimes there can be resistance between these parts because adult us doesn't really understand why parts of us aren't getting on the same page or like worrying about things. And then we see that it's because this little part got hurt by something, and that thing is very similar to the thing we're trying to get after now. Like, say, a leadership role where everyone's going to see us. And then it's like, I'm not safe to be seen here. So it can help us just have more compassion. Long story short. So the other thing here too that's coming up for guidance and suggestion is, so it talks about your thoughts. So when you think about your body, when you think about aspects or qualities of yourself, just be very sure to start trying to correct any thoughts you have that might not be kind and loving to you. So an example of that would be if you look in the mirror and you look at a part of your body and you're shaming it, you're disregarding it, you're acknowledging that you don't like it. It's kind of like, instead of maybe doing that, which might be a habit or a pattern that's been created, try changing it. What is something you find pleasant about yourself? What is something that you actually admire about yourself? Is there a way you can find a way to start loving maybe your hips or your chest or your butt? Like any of those things, maybe your hair, your eyes, like starting to actually recognize these things that are feminine about you that you might love and why they might actually quite be pleasant. And once again, this is one of those things where it's not just going to be today. It's not just going to be tomorrow, but with a little bit of time, with that conscious intention to repattern these thoughts, that can be enough to create a shift. That can be enough to slowly, with time, get out of the habit of these unconscious patterns of disregarding, disliking, or insulting parts of ourselves, or even sometimes shaming. And if you're feeling resistant to this, then that's a great sign. This is where to start, because one thing I've seen, if there's a lot of resistance, like, I just don't want to do that, that comes up within myself, it usually means I probably have some work to do around it. I don't know if anyone else feels like that, but like, I even have said, like, and you know, unfortunately, this doesn't happen as much anymore, but if there's something that someone says that angers me, in the sense of like, someone's says a statement that's supposed to be neutral and it angers me, I'm like, oh, there might be truth behind that, and that might be where my reaction's coming. And if I reflect on it, usually there was truth in it that I was avoiding, and my anger was a way of a part of me trying to keep me safe by not having to acknowledge it. But turns out it was exactly what I was needing to hear. So I don't know if you're feeling very, very unhappy to have to maybe look in the mirror and give yourself compliments. Yeah, it might be, even sitting with that discomfort could be a really interesting thing. And if any of you here do see counselors, therapy, or anything like that, therapists, it could be really interesting to explore that why. Why is it so frustrating or irritating, or like, I want to say annoying, maybe even, to have to like do that kind of an exercise? Because there's probably so much clarity in getting to the root of why. And then I know the why we can often say because it's annoying, because it's frustrating, because I don't have time for that. But usually there's like another layer underneath that, like that sometimes can be, sorry, Charlie, that can be like a part of us trying to keep us safe. But what it's covering underneath is usually the real answer that that actually is the answer we're looking for. So anyways, I do just want to also acknowledge, because I do see a lot of times on YouTube, there is comments about not being able to afford counseling or therapy or things like that, which you totally understand. I do just want to throw out there, because obviously everyone lives in different places, but maybe something to consider is looking into students, because like even for myself, like for example, I've had to practice and do different things every time I take a different thing, like breath work or Hakomi, or even when I was doing card readings, I did so many for free. I did so many for free. And it's just like one of those things where there's always someone out there who is doing things for free because they just need the hours of experience. And don't get me wrong, maybe it's really intimidating to see someone who has no background in anything, but I also think there's so many people like me where it's like we have a background in something and we just actually want to learn more about something else. So maybe looking into something like that. I'm sure there's like universities that offer like discounted things for students. Maybe even talking to some friends, or maybe even a Google search, because I was thinking like when I offered things for free, it was all more like by word of mouth, because obviously I didn't want to just put it on Google and then have a bunch of people overwhelming me with wanting free services. I just always kind of wanted someone who was a friend of someone. So you never know. I would start maybe asking around if that's something that you're really interested in. And I would be suggesting maybe some type of counseling, because we are doing parts work. It could be internal family systems. Although this one didn't really come up as anything specific, but I do feel like with this pile, and once again, this is a YouTube reading for the collective, never take anything as 100%. I do feel like this pile would struggle a little bit with, we'll say so one of their managers, like I get a strong resistance that comes forward, which is also totally normal. I have a resistant part of myself, but I would wonder if that part gets sometimes a little frustrating for yourself to deal with, because I feel like they come up with frustration and irritation. And it can even be maybe sometimes with things where you're like wanting to participate more, or you're wanting to learn something, but you're just stuck feeling resistant or frustrated, or like a part of you is just not going to let you participate. Yeah. Anyways, I feel like, long story short, I'm just rambling now. Yeah. More of the story is you never know who might be trying to get more hours of experience. And sometimes like you're not even someone's first. You're like someone's like, I don't know, 100th hour of free training, because depending on what they're doing, like you need a lot of hours sometimes for things. So anyways, thought I'd put that out there. And if I come across any resources, I will put them on the YouTube channel somewhere. But I just imagine there must be something out there somewhere, especially online, maybe a Zoom platform or something like that. But anyways, how you connect to this part, just to recap, because I've kind of rambled a lot, is there's a lot coming through about if you're really wanting a change in the world and how like maybe corporate environment works, or is like making people work, there's this like need to embrace within yourself all your femininity, all the things that come with being born in a female body, with accepting it just as it is and understanding that there's, yeah, just different cycles and different hormones that come through on different days of the month, and that eventually there will be some years that are hard because of menopause and just body is changing. And if you're really wanting to start honoring that more in people that work for you, maybe you're a manager, maybe you have your own business. Either way, it talks about leading strong in your feminine, like by being that role model. And also not to feel like if you are more emotional, or if you are even trying to, like, I wonder if this Pat also struggles with maybe feeling like they're not being a good leader because they want to accommodate certain people who are having hormone problems or hormone imbalance things going on. I know that's not a very professional word, but you know what? I'm a card reader. I feel like there's no weakness here. And I even like that the power came through. Like, what if the power you've been missing, that level of authority, that level of like, I even want to say like wisdom in your leadership comes in when you do fully accept the feminine as it is, which once again, why I'm going to suggest possibly seeking out counsel or therapy of some sort is I do feel like this pile does have quite a bit of wounding around the feminine. And although it's so important to start taking small steps yourself by changing those thoughts when you look in the mirror, intentionally making sure that you're starting to shift maybe from some harsh words to yourself to like, what do I like about myself? What's pleasant about myself? What do I admire about myself? accepting yourself, accepting your hormones, accepting your body for all the changes it goes through and how it actually is doing a really great job. And then reminding yourself that you're safe. So all this kind of comes through is like, why it's important to do this is like, if you don't feel safe in your own body, then it's going to be really hard to go forward with a regulated nervous system, to go forward feeling your best. Because if you're looking out for, I would say like the hypervigilance, if you're always trying to orientate to things in the room that might be harming you, it's quite exhausting. That would even be harder on the hormones, if I'm being honest. It does create a lot of stress on the body. So establishing a sense of safety within yourself is really, really important. Not just even for being able to show up more as an empowered, strong, feminine leader and role model, but also just to feel more safe in your body in your day-to-day. So I feel like I've jumped all over the place, but I think why this comes through is just saying, like, even if you don't want to be a strong, empowered female leader, which is totally okay, this is coming through just to say to bring more harmony into your life and to create more, I feel like, stability in yourself, if that makes sense, is to start creating a sense of safety within your own body. So this pile, I do believe, has struggled with feeling safe in their own body, whether it's something current or if it's just something that's from the past that's still lingering, just to have that in the awareness. So I didn't even talk about this travel, change, and location card. What I see here, I do feel like this is just wanting change, wanting a change in this, because I feel like this is something that you've sat with or lived with for a long time, and you're just feeling quite ready to be on to the next thing, if that makes sense. So anyways, I'm so sorry. I feel like I've kind of like rambled a lot in this one, which I guess happens a lot in card readings, but a lot of this just talks about how can you learn to accept yourself more and be a little less hard on yourself? And then if that works out, that's awesome. If that's all it is, amazing. But if you are in some sort of corporate world or you're in a place of influence, it does talk about like when you accept more of this for yourself, you do radically accept yourself and honor those hormone cycles in your body and that the changes it's going through, and you learn to establish a sense of safety and stability within yourself, that you would be an excellent role model for others. Because if anything I've learned in life, it's like people who live what they preach, like that's what people are so drawn to. Like people who live happily and are excited or are just feeling stable and content in their body. Like it doesn't even have to be a big emotion. Like people just want that. They're like, what is this person doing? So how do I also experience that and get that? Because I'm not feeling that way about myself. So once again, maybe just to recap, like maybe you're not even planning to be this big female leader, but you think when you accept yourself more, the more and more you accept yourself, the more you feel safe in your body, the more you honor your body, you will unintentionally or intentionally become a role model to others to also do the same. So I just keep getting this pile somehow is going to affect the corporate world. I don't know why, but that comes through a lot. Maybe it's just because there's a lot of females right now in the corporate world trying to find more balance, trying to find a way to like honor their hormones and their natural cycles that their bodies go through. And it might not even be that you have anything to do with that, but you just maybe start talking about it, and it ends up influencing a lot of people who are trying to find balance in those corporate worlds. So anyways, I think I'm gonna leave it here as I've rambled quite a bit. And I hope that brought something to you. And just also conclude, if you're not someone who feels like financially you have a lot of extra money around, do try looking into maybe seeking counsel or therapy or whatever service you're looking for in the ones that are still doing services for free or very low rates to gain experience. It could be a possible interest to this pile if it's something you've been wanting to seek more support with. So, okay. Also, I'm just noticing here the courage card, just before I let you go, it does make me wonder if, often when there is something like the emotion that we have shame around, something we have shame around, it can seem like a very scary, haunted castle that we want to stay far, far away from. But when we actually take a closer look at it, it turns out it wasn't as scary as we thought. And I wonder if there's some of that coming up with some of this stuff coming up around the feminine, is that once you actually are able to maybe sit with it in a different way or look at it closer, then maybe you'll see it wasn't as scary as you thought it would be. Anyways, I'm going to leave it here, and I hope you have a good one. Hello, pile twos. You chose the Caribbean Calcite. Put it over there. This one's really interesting. So this is supposed to be a quality or part of yourself that wants to come through more. And okay, this is very specific. I mean, I feel like the last pile was also very specific, but I'm getting like your dream to essentially, how do I put this? Like, I don't quite know if I call it volunteer work, because I don't know if it would be completely free, or if this would be one of those things where it's like working for nonprofits and their pay would be reduced or something like that. Maybe there didn't have to be any payment reduced, but I just feel like the payment isn't at all coming through. It's more so wanting to be able to be with people who have struggled to feel like they can conquer their situations, who feel like they can get out of their situations. So this honestly made me think of wanting to volunteer to be with people who struggle with feeling like hopeless, who struggle with perhaps depression, who might be more traumatized than the standard society. I mean, I feel like everyone has their traumas, but this does feel like an at-risk group of people, or a group of people that have been quite harmed by another group of people. I'm hoping that makes sense. But this feels like your dream. And the card that stands out to me is like the angel card up here, which says wanting to do this without caring about how you get compensated. So it just feels like this is something you have wanted to do in the world. So that's why I keep getting like maybe volunteering, but don't feel like it means you have to do it for free, because I just feel like it's like working with these people. This kind of group of people is what really brings you a lot of joy, fulfillment, and I even want to say purpose in life. So I'm looking at all these cards and I don't have anything coming through about how to do that, which makes me think that if you are watching this pile, that you already know roughly the kind of organizations or groups that you would have to reach out to. So perhaps there's like an at-risk youth society that you know of, or females recovering from domestic violence group, or it could be a drug and alcohol recovery group. Like whatever that group is, it's to go towards that, because everything here is saying, once again, it's just encouraging you to go after it, to reach out, because it does talk about important, like spread your wings, like don't hold back right now. It's the perfect time for you to go and do this. And I just keep getting cards like joy. It's funny because it's like you want to do it to help heal others' hearts, but it actually heals yourself. I feel like it helps you accept yourself in a different way. And I want to be very cautious with the words I'm using here. I think it's because you might be someone who can be very hard on yourself about what you have to do in the world. You might be someone who feels like you really put high standards on yourself for what a good person does, or leaving this world in a better place, or something like that. So I do feel like being able to offer this fills your heart, fills your cup. It brings you a lot of joy. Especially with the manifesting dreams and stillness. So this is talking about how it's really important for you to follow your intuition right now. Like, there, like, even like mindfulness came through too. So there's a lot about how to connect to which group of people or what organization, or how you want to offer this to people. Because maybe you're even thinking about offering it on your own, not even through another organization. But I just feel like it's saying, like, taking time right now to meditate and listen to your intuition. It has the answers there, because like I said, this is a dream you've had. This isn't something I think that's just out of nowhere. It's something you've been passionate about. And even with counselor coming through, like, this is just talks about someone who likes supporting people, someone who likes to help others kind of see the light in the situation or see the light in life. And especially with artist and athlete also coming through, for the quality that's coming through that wants to be seen more, is all about like bringing back that like that view of the beautiful things in life. So you could, like, honestly, you could be someone who's even just wanting to take some, or like show people how to like paint canvases, or paint intuitively, or paint their emotions. Like, it could be something like that, but I'm not gonna like hold this group to having to be artists. I just feel like what you do or what you offer people changes their perspective, and that is so powerful. And once again, the athlete talks about transcending physical limits, development of personal willpower and strength of spirit. This is ultimately what you want to help people do, is like build their power again, build their self-empowerment again. It's a really beautiful dream. I'm just going to say that. It's a very beautiful dream. And even with clairaudience coming through, a lot of this talks about, part of this is really going to come from you listening to your intuition. This pile might love amethyst. I could just see you loving amethyst because it helps you connect to that intuition. And you're using a lot of it right now, a lot of it. And so, sorry, the block that I'm seeing here is you're believing that you're not ready yet. There's a block in thinking that you might need to like know more than you know, or you might need to, like learn something. Or I wonder if this pile struggles with imposter syndrome sometimes, or something equivalent to that. And so many things here are just saying, like, you're ready now. You can bring more light into people's lives. And this is like a dream of yours. And once again, it's like, you don't even want to be compensated for it. Like, you're going to be fine. People aren't paying you thousands and thousands of dollars for this. It's okay if you make an occasional mistake. And even if they were, it's also okay if you make an occasional mistake. It's just human, and we're all just human. Yeah. So let's just slow down this reading a little bit. So just to make sure I answered everything. So the part of quality that's trying to come through is essentially your dream. Your dream that you've had, your vision is like, come through. Let us come into existence here, which is really cool. I wasn't expecting that to be something that could come through in this reading. But it's awesome. I'm glad it did. And what kind of change it brings into your life is like manifesting your dreams, like bringing in that fulfillment that you felt like you've wanted to see in the world, to put in the world, to offer the world. And I also feel like it helps build this intuition of yours, your trust in that intuition, that trust in that vision that you have. And I feel like it even helps you, I almost want to say trust in humanity a bit more. It helps you feel more supported in life, and you also are helping other people feel more supported. It's kind of one of those dual things. As you create more support systems for others by doing this and offering this, it makes you feel more supported as well, and connected to the universe, and that sometimes there is a higher power that is watching over us. And I'm only saying sometimes because I feel like that's something that you believe, is sometimes maybe things aren't always great, and sometimes maybe there is a higher power, because you also have 33 and 22. Which it actually keeps making me think that this is like one of those like life dreams, those soul dreams you have, to like offer this to the collective. And once again, I'm not sure what it is, but I imagine you know what it is because it keeps coming up. And then just like the guidance and suggestions on how you can embody this more is slowing down, connecting with that intuition. This could be through meditation. This could be through journaling. Reflecting. You could do it through divination. So if you're someone who likes cards, you could pull cards around it. You could also do drawing. Like, I feel like you have your way of like connecting in It's just strongly recommending that you connect more to that, to get clarity on your vision, on how you want this to come in, who you want to offer it to, how you're going to offer it, whether it's going to be through another organization or something you do on the side yourself. I always feel like I have to mention insurance. Maybe you already are thinking about that. Maybe that's why going through another organization could be nice. Yeah, and then I love this, like, trusting your own guidance around it, like your own calling around it. Because this does talk about spirit family and like other people having your back and supporting you. But I feel like there's a lot of like just trusting in yourself that you've got this, you're ready for this, you're going to be okay. It might be intimidating because a lot of solar plexus is coming up, a lot of solar plexus. So once again, I'm having a hard time telling if this is because you put really high standards on yourself to achieve things in a certain way, or if it's just because this is a really big step and it's nerve-wracking. So like I said, imposter syndrome keeps coming up, but I just love that it says like it brings so much joy and fulfillment, and you actually end up feeling so supported in the end by all this. Speaking from the future, when this is out there, when it's offered. So that's quite lovely. You know what? I kind of want to pull an affirmation card for this pile. Okay, so let's just pull an affirmation for my pile 2s here. What do you need to know right now? Unraveling codependency. We have only I have to feel good about my choices. Ooh, okay, kind of like this because with all the solar plexus stuff coming up, it does kind of come back to that message I was saying where you wonder if you've put a lot of pressure on yourself to like have to make everyone happy, make everyone feel like they got the best service or the best like quality thing. And I feel like we all know this, but we all always need a reminder that we can't make everyone happy. We just can't. It's not possible. And especially if you, what I've learned on YouTube is sometimes you use a word meaning one thing, but it's like words have so many meanings to so many people. And sometimes you use a word and it's very triggering to someone and they think you mean this whole other story. And you're like, whoa, I actually just meant this, but word sensitivity is also very real. So I just like to throw that out there. Like you really can't control how people are going to respond to things or take things because there's so many different woundings and not even just woundings, but associations with different things. And we're all going to make mistakes or not even mistakes. We're all just going to be us. And sometimes people perceive it to be something totally different. Anyways, one more affirmation card for you. What else do you need to know? Okay. Anchoring the light. The light is always within me. Ooh, I was going to say, I feel like this is with the counselor card. This is what I feel like you want to embody in the world is you anchoring more light and joy for people. So I love that. And we'll pull one more here. We have untangling neglect. I take the time to give myself all the approval I desire. I love that. I love that. Okay, this is where I'm going to leave this pile. Hopefully that brought some clarity or validation that maybe you were looking for. Yeah, and if you enjoy this reading, I do always appreciate it if you leave a like or a comment, as it just helps my channel get more views. And hopefully I see you around. Best of luck with whatever you end up doing. Seems pretty cool. Hello, pile 3s. You chose the Rainbow Moonstone here. We have a couple of cats, you could say. So your cards, I have them already spread out here. Okay, bear with me as I try to explain this. I feel like it's a kind of a part of you that's coming through more so than a quality. And I'm getting the words like you're loving, speaking your loving truth, which is really interesting. So this could be attached to a part of you that is like the energy behind it is like speaking very compassionately, very understandingly, if that's a word, to someone or maybe multiple people in your life that maybe you've been holding back what you've been wanting to say to them. So I have to be very clear. The energy coming through though is so loving. It's like really needing to essentially impose some boundaries that you need for yourself. Boundaries that maybe you haven't verbalized to some people ever, maybe like it's specific people. You're gonna have to take that with your own intuition, because everything here is coming through. It's like needing to take a chance on saying what you need and saying it in a way that's very loving and compassionate. So coming from a place of, hey, like my needs need to be met. My needs aren't being met. This is my boundary. This is what I need. And I can understand if that's something you can't give me right now, but I just need you to know that's what I'm needing. So something like that. I don't know. It's interesting. I'm getting like that vibe. And then the clarification cards that I have coming through here, we have two cards that came through, like the tree with getting rooted in yourself, being strong in yourself. I kept getting standing your ground, but in a loving way. I really want to be clear about that, because I wonder if this pile struggles with not wanting to be hurtful or not wanting to make someone feel unappreciated or unloved. But everything coming through is like making sure that your needs are met and standing up for yourself, standing up for what you're needing. So when I see transmutation, this talks about creating a change in dynamics, a change in how things have been. And strength, learning to stay strong and stable in what you need and what you say. And happiness, this card's really interesting because I do feel like, although it might be a hard situation to voice these boundaries or these standards that you're trying to implement for yourself, it will lead to more energy for yourself. That's what I get. Like, I feel like the happiness comes from having more of your needs met, having less of your energy being put into something that maybe isn't honoring you, isn't honoring your time. But I keep getting like, it's not because of anything someone's doing intentionally. It just feels like someone in your life, or maybe some people, plural, in your life just can't quite meet your needs. They're just not in a place where they know how to do it, or they can do that for you. So that's why I keep getting like the compassionate, loving energy coming through. And once again, it really does feel like a part of you that is very nurturing. It actually feels like a healthy mother, like the mom who says, hey, I love you, but what you did today wasn't okay. And I understand, that you might not have thought about it at the time, but those actions really were hurtful towards me. And explaining that, like, it just feels like that. It's like, it feels like leadership with firm rules and boundaries and implemented consequences for those boundaries being broken. Why I keep seeing gambler come through is I feel like it's like, this is where like that awkwardness comes in, where it's like, maybe you have never set this boundary with this person or certain people before. So it can feel like you don't really know the lay of the land. You don't really know what that's supposed to look like, or maybe how to uphold or even set that boundary. But it talks about a need to do it so that you can once again have more of this energy back to yourself. Because I feel like when I see like prioritize, and then we have angel therapy coming up, we have claircognizance coming up. There is a lot here saying that there's a part of you that's known that a lot of your energy is kind of maybe going into this person and their problems, and it's not feeling good on you. Like it's feeling like there isn't a priority on yourself. It feels like there's just a lack of energy left for you here. You can see this being very tricky. So when I see the leadership card coming through, this talks about leading with action. So like prioritizing yourself, prioritizing what you need to have your cup filled, and understanding that we teach people how to have relationships and be in relationships by teaching them how to treat us. Oh, sorry, my cat here might be stirring up some trouble. Okay, so Other things coming through, once again, we have another one talking about expansion in family tree. What I like about this, and it also comes out with power animals. Power animals are all about like finding your own inner strength, inner courage, stability, and groundedness within yourself. Sometimes even in your community. And what I really like about this is this talks about like, consider giving yourself some compassion here. If you were in a family that wasn't very good at demonstrating healthy boundaries or implementing or holding the consequences of boundary breaking, then it makes sense that this would be something awkward and new for you. So a lot of this is talking about you might actually be teaching these people, especially if they're family members, like if this is a sister or a parent or a brother, that you can't treat people however you want. So like you have to show respect to other people to a certain extent, right? And I'm kind of laughing because I feel like if this is coming up for you, I feel like there's people who can like take out their anger and their frustrations on you. Like they're mad about something else and they call you and they're just giving it to you, you know? You know what I mean? And it feels like they're not trying to, I would say they're not trying to manage their emotions at all. They're not trying to understand their emotions. They might just literally be projecting their frustrations with a different situation on you, which is where I feel like it wouldn't feel so great. So I just get like that you essentially setting these boundaries is actually going to create an opportunity for your other family members to start to understand what boundaries are and why they exist and what they do for people. Because it sounds funny, but I don't think these people, and I'm going to say these people because I don't know if it's necessarily your family, although I'm getting more of that than anything else. It could be like a friend group, something like that have never like seen boundaries implemented. It'd also be coworkers, honestly. So don't feel like it's limited to just a family system, but I think it would be something you never saw in your family, and then is also something that's coming up in other areas of your life because it's just what you grew up knowing, right? So angel therapy, you know, all these pals have come up with a bit of a suggestion towards maybe seeking a little bit of counseling or therapy, just to kind of get to the root of maybe why these patterns are coming up, why they've ever been there, perhaps why you've struggled to set boundaries with people. Because one, it would be like what your parents showed you or taught you was allowed or you were in your right to do, to have boundaries or not have boundaries. And unfortunately, there's a lot of parents who taught us that we couldn't have boundaries. And the other thing too is like maybe getting to the root of if there's a part of you that doesn't think you're worthy of it, or that you have to earn some sort of value in the world by letting people vent or solve other people's problems. I'm not saying this is something you are doing, but that is just an example of some of the things that can be underneath that. So sometimes changing the habit is great, but it can be nice to work with someone like a therapist or a counselor who can help you really get to the root of why you're not setting those boundaries, why you're not seeing your value, and why you didn't feel capable of being able to get your needs met. So once again, just a suggestion. And as I mentioned in the last pile, I understand that finances are different for everyone. And my suggestion is perhaps looking online for people who are giving discounts or student rates because they're just needing hours of experience. So sometimes you can come across people who are literally doing sessions for free or for something like $20. Obviously, do a little bit of your own background check on them because you don't want to just trust anybody, but just see if they feel like a right fit for you. And maybe that would be a way to work around some financial struggles. Also, another option is if you offer a type of service work. I know in the community that I live in that you can actually easily change services for services. People don't advertise, but if you get in contact with them over email, people are usually really keen because everyone's always needing services themselves and usually don't think to ask others. So it's also another option. So anyways, let's just circle back to make sure I answered all the questions here. So the quality within yourself that is wanting to come through more is essentially, I want to say, your more powerful voice. Your voice that perhaps you have kept quiet around your boundaries, around what you really wanted to say. This part that is compassionately and lovingly wanting to set more boundaries and speak their piece, essentially. What kind of changes this wants to bring in for you is the ability to prioritize yourself, to have more energy for yourself. So to be able to be happy and lighter and more joyful, that's what's coming through. So my impression would be that you might be giving your energy or your time, or your emotional energy is what I should be saying here, to people who might not be really reciprocating that back. So it kind of feels like a one-way depletion versus a reciprocal relationship. This does talk about changing a pattern that might have been normal for you. So this is something you probably would have seen before, and also starting to learn and stand strong in setting those boundaries and recognizing that you can uphold them. You can still be a loving, beautiful soul and have boundaries. That's okay. That might feel a little uncomfortable at first. And then also the guidance and suggestions on how you can start to embody this more. It does talk about recognizing that it is going to be a little uncomfortable at first because it's something new. It's a new dynamic that you've never done before, and that's okay. It's going to feel weird. And also just growing in your sense of security within yourself, knowing and trusting that your value is innate and has nothing to do with what you're offering to people or what you feel like you might owe other people. You deserve reciprocal relationships. So really starting to foster that belief and understanding that you also deserve that. Recognizing how much energy is going to this, and maybe how much of your thoughts is going to this, and maybe how exhausting this is. This is really a reflection piece for you, because only you are really going to know just how much of your energy is going towards these relationships that are quite draining. And maybe it's not even your physical time, but your mental time afterwards that you spend on it. Leadership does talk about just not being afraid to teach others how to treat you based off of how the boundaries you're setting are. So if you uphold the boundaries, then that's teaching people to treat you in a certain way. And if people cannot meet those, that's okay. This doesn't mean that you have to lower your standards. It just means that they're not able to meet them. And that is just what you're going to have to explore next. And prioritizing yourself. Filling up your cup first, and there is once again that suggestion to maybe seek out counseling or therapy to really just talk through maybe some other beliefs that might be lingering in there about why you may not feel like you are worthy of having these boundaries, or maybe about feeling guilty or shameful for wanting more of this time and energy to yourself. So yeah, okay, this is where I'm going to leave this. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this brought some clarification or confirmations for you, or maybe just a reminder about maybe that you're important and that it's so important for you to have your cup filled first. Okay. As I was just putting your cards away, pile threes, I just felt like I had to add in that things won't be this hard forever. Things won't be this hard forever. This might just be something that's hard right now, but eventually it will become easier. And setting these boundaries and speaking those boundaries and holding people accountable to them, it eventually will get easier. And I know sometimes that doesn't make a difference to hear, but I just felt like I had to say it. So there you go. Things will get easier.